Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do a review for Spider-Man Miles Morales. A spoiler alert, by the way, for any of you who haven't played the game yet. We're going to be talking about all the spoilers for the main story.
Happened, yeah.
Yeah, for the main story. I guess the first thing to get into is just what did you think of the game overall?
Oh, flipping beautiful game. Thing is, yeah, we didn't get to play it on PS5 because it's not out yet in the UK. And so we didn't actually get to experience it
with
fully,
all the haptic. You get the full game, but you don't get the haptic feedback, like the 60 frames or any of that crazy stuff.
Yeah, so I guess that's one point to consider. But overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. I don't think it was as good as the first game. I like there's certain things that were obviously improved, but the story for me, it's not really a contest, which I don't think it was supposed to be. So fair enough too.
I enjoy Miles more than Peter. I don't know why. Just in a lot of even in movie format,
that's not
Spider-Verse
even
I like more
a contest for me because that Peter is way better in my opinion. Even though I still like Miles, but my liking for Miles mainly comes from Spider-Verse. In the comics, I don't think he's that amazing of a character. It's more Spider-Verse that made him a more interesting character.
Reason why I like Miles quite a lot is because he's mentored by Peter as well.
Yeah.
So I like that for that factor as well, and I feel
this game did that. This game did that well. Just like how MCU Spider-Man's mentored by Iron Man. This is basically the same character. I have a point to make about that. MCU Spider-Man is the same character as Miles Morales, and I'm thinking about making a video on this, but I don't know.
Can we make this a separate video?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Basically, guys, if you want us to make a separate video on this, let us know in the comments. Also, hit the thumbs up if you want us to do that. We'll make a whole video discussing problems with MCU Spider-Man Far From Home, mainly.
Yeah. So, overall, I thought the game was really good. As I said, I didn't think it was quite as good as the first one, but the gameplay was good. The swinging is obviously very good it's similar to the first one, but they've made tweaks to it and it's intentionally worse because obviously Miles isn't as experienced and you can tell he doesn't it feels perfectly amazing, but it's not supposed to look as good, if you get what I mean. You could tell Miles isn't trained to swing properly. When he lands on the ground, for example, sometimes he just falls flat on his face. And the swinging's great, the combat's great. The combat's one of the things I thought was better. I think you probably agree with me on that.
Yeah,
it's better than the first game because of the introduction of Venom powers. They add more dimensions and depth, and especially once you get the ones later in the game, you pretty much for example the Venom explosion thing, you basically become overpowered. So the game itself, the gameplay is just really good, swinging great. The graphics are pretty good on PS4, even though, as I said in my first impressions, that I didn't have many performance issues. But then after I beat the game with some side missions and stuff, there's times when his Miles' character model didn't load in, and it was weird little things like that. So I assume that stuff will probably be fixed and patched before not before too long. So I think the gameplay was great, combat great. The gadgets that they added weren't that useful, but they were still fun to use at times.
He's obviously not going to have as much useful gadgets as Peter does, obviously, because this is just an early Spider-Man sort of story. Also,
I guess we've got a good range for this review, because what difficulty did you play it on? Amazing? Yeah, I played it on Spectacular, so we've got a good range there. We can talk about the...
I'm replaying it on Spectacular through New Game Plus now.
If I replay it on New Game Plus, I'll play it on Ultimate then. But yeah, I didn't think Spectacular difficulty was too much of a challenge. I didn't die.
I don't think these games are challenging in general.
I don't either.
I wouldn't call us hardcore players of just video games, but we're definitely not casual players. We do play video games quite a lot, so this wasn't really going to be any sort of challenge for us.
Yeah,
especially because the first one wasn't challenging.
For someone like me who's played games like Ninja Gaiden and Bloodborne and stuff, obviously something like this isn't supposed to be in that ridiculous level of difficulty. But it's as I said, the gameplay it's great. So the difficulty didn't really bother me. It's still fun to play. It's not supposed to be some Dark Souls type game. But yeah, the gameplay's great. Graphics are pretty decent on PS4. aside from the few like issues with the textures and stuff not loading in, or like the character model sometimes it's not loading in properly. It only happened like once or twice to me though.
It's happened to me like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it happened to me like once, I think, and that in that side mission that I can think of. But
it happens to everyone in that side mission because it happened to me in the same side mission.
Yeah.
I think that's
and
just
in the game. I saw Chris Stutman's review, and he said the same thing that it happened to him in there as well.
Yeah.
The skill tree is a lot more. I wouldn't say it's more in depth, but there's like the skill sets are slightly different, so it gives you like, because obviously Miles has the camouflage and venom powers, it gives more like dimension to give him different skills. What else is there? The suits, the suit mods are pretty decent. I didn't really like the suit selection all that much. It was okay.
There's only a few suits that are actually really good in this.
I agree. Yeah.
The basic suits, like the basic suit, the starting suit,
the cat suit,
the Spider-Verse one, obviously.
Yeah.
And basically all the extra suits that you get, all the extra suits that you get, like, in addition to the basic Miles costume. So, for example, the one where he's wearing his school clothes on top of the costume.
Yeah, there's a few like fun versions of the suit like that, which are good.
Yeah. So, also the I know you haven't got this one yet. The Purple Rain one, which is the Prowler variation of Miles' suit, which I found really nice, mainly because of the details and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we've talked about the gameplay, we talked about the graphics, like all that kind of stuff.
What did you think about the time, like the time?
Oh, the length of the. Do you mean like the length of the game?
Yeah.
It was really short, but I wasn't expecting it to be much longer than it was, to be honest. If you played the Spider-Man DLC, it's slightly longer than all of those combined. I beat it in like probably, if I'm being generous, I'd say like you could beat it in 8 or 9 hours. If I'm being realistic, probably like 6 to 8.
I did it in, I think it was about 7, I think.
Yeah, 7's probably like the average. 7 to 8 is probably the average, I'd say.
Yeah, when I played it, I spent 3 hours in the first day. Because we got it on the Thursday, and then 4 hours on the Friday, and then by like Friday sort of afternoon, I was done with it.
Yeah. But yeah, the length, I wasn't exactly expecting it to be the longest game ever, so I wasn't like that shocked that it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
But
I mean, let's get into the characters. Yeah. So Miles, obviously, we start off with Miles. Miles,
I guess if you wanted to, then if you guys are still around, now's another warning to leave, because I guess this is where we'll be getting into spoilers, because we didn't really talk about spoilers before that. We just talked about the gameplay. But yeah,
this is where the real spoilers are going to happen.
Final warning:
about the characters and the story.
Get out of here if you haven't played the game yet.
I mean, Miles is I like him because he's like everything Miles is supposed to be. Obviously, he's 1 year into being Spider-Man, so he is a bit experienced. He's not like completely inexperienced how he was in Spider-Verse, because he just like got his.
And you could tell they took a lot of inspiration from Spider-Verse for Miles' character, because in the comics, Miles is more just like, he's very, very similar to Peter Parker in like a lot of ways, whereas in the in Spider-Verse, they made him more of his own character, and you can tell that they took a lot. There was a lot of
there was like a lot of stuff from Spider-Verse in general. Like you said, you picked up on a few lines that were taken directly out of Spider-Verse.
Lifted directly out of Spider-Verse. Yeah, which was kind of weird at first, but I don't know.
The music as well. Like they've gone for this urban style. They took the classic Spider-Man PS4 theme, put an urban twist on it with more like drums and more bass in the music, and they also brought Jaden Smith, who did a bit of the soundtrack for Spider-Verse, and they brought him over to this soundtrack as well. So
great soundtrack, by the way. Just like the background
really
music and all that stuff. It was good, yeah.
Really good. I don't think it was, in my opinion, it wasn't better than Spider-Verse, because obviously Spider-Verse has a lot more, I'd say, diversity for the music.
It's urban, but there's
like you've got like Spanish music. You've got like there's a Spanish song in Spider-Verse, and there's a lot more just content within the Spider-Verse soundtrack.
I'm not really like I don't really care about music that much, but like I care about the kind of like background, like the original score, not the like songs, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it definitely adds to the experience.
Yeah, I liked the OST though in this game. It was good. It was like on par with the original in my opinion. It was like different, but in a good way.
Yeah, but overall, Miles, his design was good. like suit.
Developed well as well. Developed very well.
Yeah, developed well. He's like character model, obviously taken from the first Spider-Man game, but new haircut, which was good. That's pretty much what I have to say. He basically everything Miles should be. I don't think they messed Miles up in any way.
I agree with that.
Is everything you think Miles should be. Then we have which character should we move on to Finn?
Well, I guess Peter, because Peter's there at the beginning. He's not in this game very much, but I just want to put this out there because I don't think I've said this yet. I hate that redesign so much. Still after playing this game,
it's so bad.
I thought I'd be able to get used to it playing it, but I can't. It's not good. It takes away a lot of what. Because the point of Peter in Spider-Man PS4 is that he's supposed to be an aged, kind of more rugged Spider-Man than we've seen in other stuff, and the design just completely takes away from that. He looks way too young. He looks about the same age as Miles now, so you can't really take that mentor-student relationship as seriously as you should, because he's supposed to look a lot older than him, obviously. I couldn't get over that design. They don't really do a whole lot with Peter in this game, which is fine for this game, but then in the sequel, they're going to keep that redesign, and that's going to be about Peter and Miles, so all I'm going to say is thank God that they kept the mask on him in the ending, because that would have just... remember the part at the end when him and Miles were talking to each other? I'm just happy they kept the mask on there. But I hate that redesign for Peter, and I like the stuff that he was like doing in this game, the way he was helping Miles and talking to him, but yeah, that redesign is something I can't get over.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's meant to be a more like older Spider-Man who's actually been through quite a bit, so making him look younger is just not like the direction that they should have gone in, and
it doesn't work as well. Like, I don't understand what they were saying. This is kind of like aside from Miles Morales, even though it technically is part of it because it comes in the PS5 version, but the Spider-Man remastered clips I've seen, they were saying it's so he can emote more, but he doesn't really emote more. I don't think
he was fine. He was fine the way he was.
Exactly.
I don't know why they changed it.
It's a bizarre change. I don't really understand. I feel like there's got to be something more to it behind the scenes than that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with who got like the motion capture. Was there any motion capture for the?
They motion captured Yuri Lowenthal's like face, who voices Spider-Man, but they changed the actor from I forgot the new actor's name, but it was from John Bubniak, I think was his name, and they changed they changed him to someone else. But I don't really understand why. It just seems pointless. But
I mean, that we don't really see much of Peter in this game. Like in terms of his face, we see it at the start, and then that's about it.
And then he talks
we see him
a lot
at
as
the
well,
side
like
when he got the phone calls and stuff.
Yeah, which is and he talks Miles through a lot of things, and obviously all the performances were great, same as the first game.
Yeah, I think with the mentor thing, Peter doesn't mentor Miles as much, just because obviously it's been like a year. So Miles has had a lot of time to learn, and
he kind of checks in on him, and this picks up like pretty much not straight after, but like a year after the DLC. So if you guys played the DLC for the first game, and there's a recap at the beginning, so for anyone who didn't play the first game, you won't be lost with this.
Yeah, and Peter overall was good. He obviously wasn't in there much. The only problem I really had with Peter was the face change,
the design, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only really problem I had with Peter. But his suit looks like obviously the same. The way
looks slightly better, obviously, because they made some graphical improvements to the game.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say on Peter.
Yeah.
So should we get on to Finn?
Finn, yeah.
So obviously we warned you about the spoilers.
Yeah, twist is she's the Tinkerer. Which wasn't really a plot twist in my opinion, because they made it like super on the nose. I think everyone saw it
coming because we knew the Tinkerer was, if you've seen the trailer, we knew the Tinkerer was a girl or a woman, and it was just like very, as soon as you saw her from the start, you were thinking she could be the Tinkerer, like she could actually be the Tinkerer.
I will say that that kind of leads on to one. Not issue, but like one thing that kind of like I picked up on with this game. The writing is nowhere near as subtle as the first game, in my opinion. There's like things with it that are like it's not nowhere near as subtle, but it's like it's a lot less subtle. Like they're more on the nose with certain things, especially mainly with Finn's character, where she's she harps on Miles a lot for calling him a liar and all that all the time. But even though she wasn't exactly completely truthful to him either, because she didn't tell him that she was the Tinkerer. So it's like that it works for the most part. But I feel like if they harped on it anymore, then it would have just been annoying after a while, because it's like you weren't exactly completely honest to Miles either.
I think the one like main problem I've got with the Tinkerer, or obviously Finn, is that it's the way that she outpowers Miles. Like,
I buy that to a certain extent, because like I understand that she's like got I don't really know where she's got fighting experience from, I suppose, but I'd say that she had like high tech, like the giant gauntlets and stuff. So I think that's like perfectly. You can suspend your disbelief enough to believe that one.
The one thing I don't understand is the fighting experience thing, because there's no indication, because we see flashbacks with obviously her brother Rick, and there's no fighting experience like indicated anywhere in that story whatsoever. Even the side missions, if they do talk about Finn, they don't like. There's nothing indicated whatsoever. So for her to just, and in the end fight, she can dodge Miles's electric punch and stuff unless you like restrain her. So for her to be like decently skilled, outpowering Miles, okay, fair enough. She's got the gauntlets, and but yeah, I just that one thing doesn't make any sense for me. And also, it reminded me of a problem that, well, one thing I thought was not wrong with Miles, but he doesn't really have a low point in this game where he sort of realizes his potential, and then like sort of I
mean, I'd say there were. I think there were a few. Like the part when he's talking to Genki and he says like, "What would Spider-Man do?" Then Genki says something like, "You're always talking about, when you say Spider-Man, you're always talking about the other Spider-Man, but you are Spider-Man." And then he makes his own suit. Or maybe when he gets even when he gets beat up and he comes home, and then another plot twist: his mom finds out who he is.
Oh yeah, I think that was the closest thing to say some sort of a low point.
Yeah,
is that his mom finding out who he is and then giving the speech about our family doesn't run from things, which is taken basically out of Spider-Verse, and then sort of talking about his dad, and I think his dad is like, he's used really well in this game to like
even if he's not actually in it.
Yeah, to like sort of push Miles to the best of his ability, I guess.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think the Tinkerer thing.
Fine.
What were we gonna say?
I don't think Tinkerer was as strong as a villain as Doc Ock. Like not even.
No. This is one thing I will admit. I like this. I enjoyed this game more, but Doc Ock is definitely. He's always going to be a stronger villain if he's done
Every
more.
villain in the first game was better than every villain in this game, aside from like Rhino,
I think Doc Ock is always going to be a stronger villain in terms of Spider-Man than any other villain if he's done right. If he's not done properly, then
aside from like Green Goblin and Venom, he's
Goblin,
like
maybe,
those three are like the top three Spider-Man villains in my opinion. But they also had in this game with they had the stuff with Prowler. He's another
which I loved. I actually loved the Prowler stuff.
Yeah, like I thought it was good. Yeah,
from his design I think is the most perfect design for Prowler I've seen in any modern adaptation of Prowler. Like obviously we saw him in we've obviously got his classic designs which are fine, but obviously they're too like comic book-esque to put in like sort of realistic situations.
Unless you like
then we had the one from then we had the ones from like Spider-Verse, but these like again more animated design. But for more realistic design, this is perfect. Like the more robotic design, which still adapted the classic Prowler colours. But
except for the cape. Way. That was the one thing that I didn't like. He didn't have the cape. I wish he had the cape.
I don't think he needed a cape.
I think he would have looked way better with it. I think.
Yeah,
I would have preferred the cape,
if they did it properly.
Yeah, the design was good. The development for him was okay. It wasn't as good as Spider-Verse in my opinion. I feel like
I like the fact that he knew who like Miles was Spider-Man, like just from like
he worked it out. Yeah.
I like that because it shows that Prowler's actually got like a lot of intelligence.
Yeah, but I feel like they kind of like I don't know. I don't want to compare it to Spider-Verse too much, obviously, because it's like a completely different kind of scenario. But I feel like his character was a lot more interesting in Spider-Verse, because in this it's more a case of they're going to just develop it through exposition, like just dumping exposition on you through the audio recordings that you find in his side missions, which it's like they still develop him enough in the story, in my opinion, for you to care. But it just wasn't. It was just like slightly worse than Spider-Verse, in my opinion. But it wasn't like anything that I was annoyed about. I still thought it was good.
I like the stuff where he was like, obviously with his dad, that he was saying that him and his dad fell out, so that's why he sort of like hasn't seen the family for a long time.
Yeah.
I like that sort of stuff because it makes like sense. Because in Spider-Verse, even though his dad doesn't like him, he still allows Miles to go and see him.
Mm.
But in this one, it seems like his dad was like protecting Miles from him, in fear that he would become something like him. And I guess we see something similar to that in the Prowler boss fight, where he's trying to protect Miles, and Miles is saying something to him like, "You want? I'm not the person you want me to become, like the person who could just ignore things when I can do something about them."
Yeah,
and I think that's like again another sort of aspect of Miles's dad showing through in Miles as well, which is through the Prowler boss fight. But I think
that was the best boss fight in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that and the
he was my favorite
final
boss fight
Tinkerer one. Like there were less boss fights in this game than the first one.
The real problem with the Tinkerer one, which I had, was obviously, you know how you said she holds up too much underlying thing. The reason why, like, that's the reason why she basically sort of, obviously, the spoilers, she sacrifices herself in the end.
Yeah.
She has to sacrifice herself in the end.
She
wasn't
Miles,
listening to Miles. Miles told her that it's going to like sort of blow up, like it bigger than what you think it's going to be. Like there's actually going to be casualties, and she just wouldn't listen to him. Obviously, she was blinded by her rage and how obviously Roxanne like sort of murdered her brother. But still, if she listened, that whole problem could have just been avoided.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem with most villains. They just don't listen to the hero when they tell them that something bad's going to happen. But another character that was like, I didn't really like this character at all, to be honest, was Simon Krieger. He's like the most bland, generic businessman in a suit character ever. He's so bland. Like I hate, because the thing is, they kind of had that with Martin Lee in the first game. They actually made Martin Lee interesting. Like they gave him the Mr. Negative stuff was obviously interesting, and then also the stuff they did with him in general, like even just his character development was interesting. This character gets
with Feast and stuff,
and like with his family, where they talk about his backstory with that and all that stuff. With Simon Krieger, he gets no development. He's a super boring, just bland character that I don't care. I didn't care about that character at all. And obviously Troy Baker voices him, and Troy Baker's a good voice actor, obviously, but it's just kind of him just being himself pretty much. He wasn't as good as like any of the villains from the first game, like in any way.
I think I didn't really focus like too much on him as a villain,
because him and
he was
Finn
sort
were
of
the
more
main
of a side character to me.
He was technically the main villain though, because Roxanne was like the big bad guy in the game. So him and Finn were like the main villains, and Finn was developed enough, I think. But Simon Krieger was a terrible character in my opinion. I didn't like him. He wasn't interesting.
I mean, I can't really complain with that. I mean, it's just he was like very bland. Yeah, just very like everything, even his his lines and stuff. Stuff
There's nothing memorable about him. He's just boring. Yeah.
Like even like the lines and stuff that he says, and the way he's like, there's stuff in the side missions in the Roxanne bases, and there's like voice notes and stuff from him. Yeah. That you hear, and it's still,
and even those aren't like it's just generic businessman talk.
Yeah, it's like
it's not anything special.
And everyone's sort of fooled by the sort of like thinking he's going to do good for the world by bringing this energy, when actually it's like really killing everyone off, the new form. Yeah. And I mean that's all I really have to say about him. He's really like
bland,
quite
boring character.
But Rhino was also associated with Simon as well.
Being the same Rhino that we know and love, I guess.
Yeah, from the first game, we see obviously the first boss fight that was shown just like before the game's release, and then surprise, he turns up again later.
Oh yeah, with the Roxanne suit,
with the Roxanne armor, which
that's pretty sick.
Means that he's immune to Miles's venom powers
until you smash it off.
Obviously leads to this boss fight that you have to do, and the big part with Rhino is that the Tinkerer actually like tries to kill him, maybe kills him. We don't know. It's never really confirmed.
She stabbed him, but we don't know if he's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, he winds Finn up to the point where she just gets her big sword thing and just stabs him through the chest, like near the heart as well. And we don't
really see that. She just kind of like thrusts it down into him, and then he's just kind of screaming.
It does go into him, and it goes into the part where there's no armor on.
But it's his back, so I don't know. We don't really know how. Like Miles just comes and pushes her out the way, so I don't think he's dead.
I don't know. I don't think they'd kill him like that though.
I don't think they'd kill him in general, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and then sort of that kind of left me asking questions if he was dead or not. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Guess we'll find out in the second game if he's in there.
Yeah, because that's one thing I'd say about this game. It's clearly not a sequel. It's a spin-off. So just that's like an expectation that people should go in with.
Yeah.
Instead of going in thinking it's going to be like a full-on sequel.
Because otherwise you're going to be disappointed by number one, the length. Number two, how
the story in general, because it's more of just Miles coming into his own as Spider-Man, as opposed to like as opposed to it being a full-on sequel to Peter's story.
It's not really relevant. It's not really relevant to the main Spider-Man PS4 story, except for the fact that Spider-Man 2 is probably going to have the feature where you could switch between Miles and Peter.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll explain in there. Like, for people who missed this game, I'm sure they'll explain how you can play as Miles and all that. It's just if you want like more into Miles' character, which I'd recommend. And yeah.
I mean, a few more side characters just to talk about before we sort of move on to our general overall views of the game. Miles' mom.
Rio,
I mean, good character. Running for what's she running for?
Her
campaigns
for the it's like I think it was like, it wasn't the mayor, it was like the I don't know what the title is. It's like the leader of the community sort of thing. I don't remember what the
and then we see that Ganke, really good character.
I just remembered it was. I think it's for city council. I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
Like that, yeah.
So yeah, we see her running through that, campaigning for that throughout the game. Ganke as well, which was my first introduction for Ganke, since we didn't really.
Who's better than Ned, and Ned is a knockoff of Ganke. Again, Miles Morales, Peter in the MCU.
We can go into this in the MCU video.
I just want to point that out, that he's just Miles Morales. That like the character of Ned is basically taken from Miles Morales, as it's the character of Ganke, but then they just changed him into just a caricature, basically. Ned Leeds is a completely separate character. They basically took the name Ned Leeds, gave Ganke the personality of Ned Leeds, and then just said, "There you go. That's the character now." Like they took Ganke's design, they took Ganke's like personality. Well, not personality, because Ganke's not an annoying idiot. But they basically took Ganke and called him Ned Leeds. I don't know if that has anything to do with the Hobgoblin, to be honest. I think they just kind of heard that name from a comic and thought, let's just shove it in there for fan service, even if it's nothing like the actual character.
I think with Ganke, getting back to Ganke in this game, he sort of reminded me of a little bit of how Yuri was to Spider-Man the first game.
Yeah.
Is sort of like to like tell him about the crimes and stuff, tell him like who's being robbed and what to go and do, and also him and Miles, obviously their personalities sort of bounce off each other, like with the dialogue and stuff. The creation of Miles' suit was a really cool scene between them two, and then he also makes the app, which is a really big feature in this game. I really love the app feature in this game. It's just such an easier way to do side missions and crimes and stuff. Yeah. And it just feels like a lot more efficient in terms of more like gameplay, from an improvement for the gameplay from the first game. So I really like the app.
Yeah, and it kind of feels more like he's more of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as opposed to Spider-Man just swinging around and then there's like a marker, you just go to the marker, and then like it feels more like, even if it's technically the same thing, but the way they've like kind of wrapped it up in the plot, where it's kind of Spider-Man's like actually getting requests from people when he's going to help them. It feels more like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man sort of thing, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much Ganke's sort of the man in the chair, just sort of guiding Miles, keeping Miles on the right track.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So
he's a good character.
Good character in this game as well. And then the last one I like side character I'd like to talk about is Rick, who is Finn's brother, who we only see in flashbacks.
Rick Mason,
but is a big part in creating the new form, which is the main sort of cause of the sort of Finn to go and try and blow up Roxanne, and obviously Miles having to save it. So he was he wasn't obviously he wasn't developed as much. We I think they did a good job developing the relationship between him, Finn, and Miles. Like they did it. They did. Even though he was like
he was barely in the game, they still like explained it a lot really well. Like especially like when you look at the photo and stuff in Miles's room, and like there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't pick up on if you didn't interact with the game fully, which I think I'd recommend people do, especially for a game this short, to take your time with it because you want it to last. Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't expecting him to be like really like delved into, just because he's more of a side character. And obviously they just explained that he creates a new form and stuff. So yeah, overall decent development for the time that he was in the game for. Well, not decent, but really good development for the time he was in the game for, and obviously he was used as like a big plot point as well. He was an interesting character, I'd say. He wasn't like the greatest character in the game, obviously, but he was a good, well developed character in my opinion. And one interesting thing I noticed is that, you know, when Rick actually dies in the in his flashback scene, he's pulling the tubes out of the reactor before Roxanne kills him, and that same imagery is mimicked right at the end when Miles is trying to contain the explosion. That was another thing where I was like, subtlety, like they could have been a bit more subtle about that, so just basically just flashing back, showing the audience members the direct scene where Rick just dies. It's like, we kind of get the point there. Yeah, and then obviously Finn sort of sacrifices herself. Which creates a massive yellow web in the sky, which kind of confuses me. Yeah, it looked like a giant like lightning strike thing. It was a nice visual though, it looked really good. Yeah, overall this game looks really nice. Like, the cutscenes look amazing. Like, I think my favourite part was the end where Spider-Man is Miles is standing and he's all like suits all like torn, and they're showing him from the back. I think that was really I'll put the picture on the video now. Yeah. And even that last shot, the last shot of the game was just like probably my favourite part. Yeah, when him and Peter jump on the screen, that looks really nice, yeah. So yeah, pretty much that's really all I have to say about this game. I think it's amazing, and I'm when my PS5 arrives, I will be streaming this game quite a lot when I get the time, so you guys can actually fully see how it works, and how obviously with the 60 FPS and the haptic feedback and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be going through it again. I needed this after Far From Home. I needed some good Spider-Man, and they delivered it with this. It's very refreshing. I feel like I haven't seen a good Spider-Man story in a long time. Well, I guess it's been like 2 years, hasn't it, since Spider-Verse? Because Far From Home just wasn't it. Yeah. And this is like, okay, good. We got some good Spider-Man again. And it's also nice to see Miles being brought into sort of mainstream, sort of not media, but the franchise. Yeah, it's aside from Spider-Verse, obviously, because I think I don't know if it's I feel like this game wouldn't exist without Spider-Verse. So good on Spider-Verse and good on them for making this game. Spider-Verse is an amazing creation. You have to give the credit that is exactly where it's due for the people who create Spider-Verse. One other thing I just want to quickly mention for this game, just before we wrap this up, is that there's a lot of Black Lives Matter movement references and signs and stuff a lot in this game, there is, which I really liked, which is obviously very sort of respectful, and also speaking of respectful for current times. The Chadwick Boseman tribute at the end, that was really good. Just the credits in general, I thought they looked really good. I guess since we're coming towards the end now, the credits look really good. Chadwick Boseman tribute was good. It's good that that was really heart touching. Yeah. Yeah, referenced Brian Michael Bendis and the original creators of Miles Morales, and also the post credit scene, which we didn't talk about. I just realized. The post credit scene. Yeah, which wasn't related. This wasn't related to the
Not really.
Miles Morales whatsoever. It was just sort of setting up the next game.
It's building on from the last game's one. Which is basically an add-on to the last game's post-credit scene.
We saw Harry wake up. Obviously,
in
if
his
you played the last game, Harry's being sort of stabilized by the Venom symbiote, is what we can assume.
And this confirms it now, because it's like, you can tell the way it's like kind of around him. It's the Venom symbiote. We see,
and it's actually attached to him, so it seems like that he might have actually created a bond while it was keeping him alive. And then we also see Dr. Connors as well. Yeah. Which is I think is that the first time we've seen him in this?
It's the first time we've physically seen him. He's been referenced before.
Yeah, so I guess
and obviously
he's
Norman
working with Norman as well. Yeah. And
then
Norman's back.
He says to get him out. So hopefully that means that the Venom symbiote is in the next game, and hopefully it doesn't mean that Harry's Venom, because I'd prefer if Eddie was Venom. I've never really been a big fan of Harry is Venom. I don't know why that was a thing.
It hasn't really been done properly though.
Yeah,
like,
true.
The like legit the only sort of property I can give you that's actually made Harry Venom.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
It's Ultimate Spider-Man. That's
and
the only
show
thing.
Was horrible. So
that's the only thing I can give you. So it hasn't been done properly. So
it might have been done in the comics, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So don't quote me on that. I don't think it has.
We're not really massive readers of the comics. We know the basic knowledge, but we don't know, like...
I'm more like a reader of classic Spider-Man. Like, I've read, like, loads of old Spider-Man comics and some, like, modern ones, like Ultimate Spider-Man and stuff, and a few, like, Miles' comics and Scarlet Spider and stuff like that. But, like, super modern Spider-Man, like, nowadays, I don't read it as much.
And Harry as Venom is a very modern
concept.
Sort of Venom story.
Yeah.
It must be, anyway. Because that's the first time I saw it done. It was obviously Ultimate Spider-Man, like 2015, 16? Probably.
No, it was 2012. It's 2012. It's that long ago. It's like 8 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nah, because I don't think it was done in the first season.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was. It was like,
was
yeah, it was like 2012, 2013, around there. I don't even think the show was on the air in like 2015 and 16. They made that other new crappy Spider-Man show.
That was... I never watched that, but it just looked horrendous, so I just never watched it.
That's like besides the point, though.
That's much, like a whole different thing.
This game was it was really good. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you score it?
You know what? Yeah, you know how I feel about Miles. I like him like a lot. So I would give this game a 9 out of 10, easy. Maybe even a 9 out of 10. There's a few problems there.
I'd say
10 out of 10.
I'd say an 8. An 8. 8. It's like what I'd give it. Yeah. Because I'd say the first game is like a 9.5/10 to me, because that was like perfect in terms of capturing the character of Spider-Man. That was like the best Spider-Man we'd had since like Spectacular Spider-Man, in my opinion, probably. So yeah, that's like a 9.5 on 10 to me. This is like an 8 or 8.5. It's still really good, but I think it wasn't as good as the first one. It's smaller scale, which they're intended for, but that doesn't mean I can't score it lower, I guess.
Yeah, and I'd recommend that anyone who doesn't know about or like isn't really that familiar with Miles' character, they should definitely play this game if they want an introduction to Miles.
Yeah.
The best ones
are
this game and the Spider-Verse, yeah. So,
best Spider-Man movie, best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2, so watch that.
Yeah, so definitely just like, if you want an introduction to Miles, definitely play this game at some point. And yeah, pretty much that's all I have to say. What an amazing game.
Yep, it was good.
So basically in the future, I'll be doing some streaming of this game when my PS5 arrives for you guys. So if you I'll be playing through it again. So if you want to stick around for that, make sure you subscribe. If you have stuck to the end of this review, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video. If you've played the game, let us know your thoughts. Or if you're playing the game so far, let us know how you're finding it. And also with the MCU Spider-Man video, let us know if you want us to do that as well. But overall, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, share with all your family and friends, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.